Yes.
Okay, thank you for joining this session and welcome everyone. This session is a presentation of the WAN-IFRA subscription bootcamp that was held this autumn and ending this year. It is a program with a goal to encourage and coach the participants on the journey towards digital reader revenues. And it started with the kickoff in October, and the teaching were started in November, and within it all there were 6 modules with individual coachings in between. The program was led by Gregor Waller. He's a global active consultant in digital transformation. And he's probably the most experienced in driving digital transformation and subscription business for the media industry. And I am Ola Henriksson. I'm an individual consultant with a long experience of digital product and business development from Schibsted. I have experience both from an editorial and from product and business perspective. And together with us today, we have 5 participants from the joining publishers that were joining this program. You can see them here on the screen, and soon they will start with giving their individual presentations. Just a little short about the main objectives and the main headlines in the program. The overall objective and one of the main headlines was how to drive engagement when growing digital subscription is very much about the changing mindset from reach to engagement. We were also talking about the importance of data. We were showing different revenues and paywall models, and we're also focusing and talking a lot about the user journey, the conversion and retention. So this is part of what you will hear today when we will see the individual participants' presentation. So as I welcome to you all in the panel, and we will kick off and starting with Shyamal Datta from Indian Express. He's the principal product manager from Indian Express. So welcome to share your experience in your presentation.
Thanks, Ola. So I'll just share my screen. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So hello everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening based on the location you are logged in from. So today I'll be sharing the experience or learning from the subscription bootcamp organized by WAN-IFRA and Meta. So before I start, a brief introduction of our organization, India. So we are a 90-year-old organization, one of the leading organizations in media in India, and our flagship brand is the Indian Express. And we also have other brands like Financial Express, Lok Satta, and Jan Satta. When you talk about subscription, as of now, the subscription journey has been primarily the Indian Express. And we have a plan to launch the subscription for other brands as well, including Financial Express, Lok Satta, and Jan Satta. So as far as the journey of Indian Express goes, we had launched the e-paper behind paywall in December 2019. So just 3 months before the COVID lockdown happened in India. In April to May, we did a lot of experiments because we thought our print circulation has been hampered because of lockdown. We made the e-paper paywall, we removed the e-paper paywall during almost entire March, April, and May. And towards the end of May, we reintroduced the paywall. And over the next 6 to 7 months, we did a pricing experience because we had only one product back then in e-paper. So since e-paper is a product which caters to multiple segments and multiple user needs, we had did some pricing experiments to fix that what is the best price point through which we'll be selling on monthly as well as annual e-paper subscription. We also had moved to a new subscription platform in 2021, to be precise in August 2021, and the metering was launched on the site. So metering is on a very high level, not exactly how probably most of the media subscription companies will approach it. However, as of now, it has been set more from a process point of view, that whether everything is set up well and whether there's any gap or something. From that understanding, we are gradually reducing the meter count on the site. As of now, it's set at 100, which is again, Greg probably laugh at it because they did many times during the course that how can it be so high? But yeah, business point of view, we are gradually reducing to maybe a more lesser number. Just an update, in January 2022, we had also launched the digital access on Indian Express. And along with that, we have also launched the combo plan, which is digital access plus e-paper. Now, the challenges that we faced towards the beginning of the problem was that our registration was very low and there was very limited visibility of the premium articles or e-papers across the site. And also the churn was very high. It's more than 80%, I would say, monthly churn that we are seeing. So every time you are having to acquire new subscribers just to maintain the base level of subscription revenue. So to understand the problem that we are having, we also took feedback from the subscribers, and our mechanism for taking feedback was that we wrote to our e-paper subscribers asking for their feedback, how they perceive the product and the overall experience. And the aim was to understand why and how they consume the e-paper on Indian Express. We also spoke to a sample of paid subscribers via our product and marketing team as a combined effort to understand what is the rationale of them purchasing and again reading Indian Express. And based on that, a conversion funnel was created and it was benchmarked against our understanding of the industry. Because when you say understanding, because in India, the subscription is very, very nascent stage. So many benchmarks are not yet much publicized in a standard mark. So that we had to take help of assumptions and our understanding how it should be in terms of funnel from top to bottom. So when we started the bootcamp based on the evaluation of the subscribers and also the feedback that we got from our mentor, Gregor and Ola, we zeroed down the objective of the project as to improve the subscriber journey. And when you say subscriber, it also entails new, current subscriber as well as future subscriber. Because in our understanding, subscription is not a one-step process. It has a multiple layered funnel which starts from acquisition. And this acquisition is not only subscription acquisition, this acquisition is someone coming to the website for the first time. Then how we engage that person through our overall, I would say, widgets and related stories, recommendations to maximize the pages per session and also the time on site, that is engagement. Then comes loyalty, that how frequent is that person coming to a website. Basically DAU or MAU, that's how you measure it. And then comes the conversion, that someone purchasing the e-paper or digital subscription for the very first time. The most critical part in our understanding is that the renewal, because making someone purchase for the first time is still easy, but to make him renew, your service offering has to be really good. And it has to be actually synchronous with what your offerings has been. And the last step is the referral, because if a user or subscriber is truly satisfied, then only that person will refer someone in his network to go for the product. Now, here are a few experiment details, the A/B testing and things we've done. So before we share the outcome of the experiments, I'll say that the numbers of the experiment should be taken with a pinch of salt, because this has been done in a very, very 2 to 4 months of bandwidth. Now, many metrics change over time, or they either they taper down or they amplify over a course of time. So maybe the directionally you are right that this gives positive impact and this negative impact, but the magnitude of the reduction or the actual score may be vary. So the first problem that we tried to address was the lower sign-up ratio. And our hypothesis, basically this was our login page earlier, the left-hand side one. Here we asked the user to either provide email ID or phone number, and social signups were secondary in terms of visualization. So our assumption was that if we reverse this and make the social ones primary, because there's associated ease of sign up when there's a social buttons on the site like Google, Facebook, or Apple. So that should give up some upside in terms of registration rate. And that indeed increased the registration rate by almost 4% on the site. Second experiment that we did was that the lower CTR of premium stories on homepage. So our premium stories, we do around 300 to 400 premium stories every month. So premium stories were earlier behind the login, but now these are behind the paywall. So then, so those are not having a great visibility across the site and especially on the homepage. So we thought that why don't we try with different headlines to increase CTR? So we did a A/B testing of 2 headlines, and we found that a winner headline got up to 20% higher clicks. So I'll show the next screen how it works. So via Chartbeat, we did this experiment. We launched a story with that headline, and after some time we launched a second headline to check that whether there is a impacts the click rate of the story. So here you can see that the second basically story or headline actually had a positive impact on the CTR. And correspondingly, what we found was that even the winner headline also had a higher time spent. This was very important from the point of view that basically when the story is having a higher CTR, it also gives a higher reading time for the users. The third thing was more of a contextual to the Indian scenario about recurring payment, because we saw that the recurring payment was failing in India because of the new regulation, and that's why we moved to a 2-year. So initially we had only 2 plans, 1 month and 1 year. Now we removed the 1-year plan and gone for the 1 month plan, and we have gone for 1 year and 2-year plan. Now this has what has done, this has increased the ARPU, however has reduced the number of transactions, because there are many people who cannot afford the 1 year or 2 year price. We may be trying to acquire them at a lower price or lower kind of packages once the payment issue gets resolved. But as of now, this looks like a relatively better plan for us to make. This has also increased the sales value by more than 10% over the last 3 months. One more was that our churn rate was really high. So it that basically found out that maybe sometimes users are happy with the service, but since we don't remind them enough that how to renew their services, they are not finding it easy to renew the services. So that's why we set up automated renewal reminders via email, SMS. That has increased the renewal increase by 5%. Now that 5% may look like a small number. Take this 5% over cumulative number over a number of years, this value adds up to your overall revenue. The last experiment was the low number and visibility of premium stories. Now there was a debate in the team that how should we define premium stories, and that's again we sought the help of Gregor and Ola, and their feedback was that maybe the users think premium story as a different thing, how we see them. So they don't care whether it qualifies the editorial standard to be called a premium story, but you make sure that your top 10%, 20% stories will be premium stories. And even we tried to put some of our very old stories which are popular and which are still giving page views, maybe they are from a couple of years time back, we made them premium and promoted on the site. And surprisingly, although not much conversion was happening from there, how it increased the visibility of the premium stories. And when users are coming to the site and they are seeing a number of premium stories, they are more tuned that this is a paid service or paid website, and at some point of time I may have to pay for the services that they provide. So that was a big mind shift change in our opinion. So we also, because of the paucity of time, could not complete some of the experiments which we have planned to conduct in next couple of quarters time. One is that multi-page versus single page checkout. Currently we have a single page where there is a plan detail, there is a login detail, and there is a payment detail. Now this gives some kind of confusion on a mobile device, especially because it's very difficult to have all the 3 fields in a single go. And that's why we're thinking that maybe we can have an A/B testing that which version works better. Second is auto upgrade of a higher plan. So E-paper is that to give the best experience or most convenience to our users, we have started delivering e-paper via WhatsApp and email. Now what's happening that e-paper users, they are not coming back to the site, because to consume e-paper, they don't necessarily come to the website. They can just access their email or WhatsApp. Third, multiple plans with different tenures. We are thinking of adding some more plans. Maybe this is more focused plans, I would say. With different tenures like 1 month, we'll be also working on those. Then optimizing app for loyal users. This is like our app is still not very optimized for loyal users. It's mostly a reflection of the website. So how do we give our loyal users the best experience via app? Also, automate the response to payment failures, because sometimes what happens, the payment failures are not, our users are not getting the automated response to convert, and basically they are not being able to take corrective action in case of payment failure. So coming to outcome and learnings. So as you can see, we have taken 100 score for October when the program started, and then we have indexed the revenue. This is not the exact revenue, but a ratio of, or how it has increased over last few months. And we have seen a clear-cut revenue increase for the last 3 months after implementing all those changes. As far as learning is concerned, our learning was that the priority will be changed to a varying degree if your focus is the number of subscription or number of sales volume or ARPU. Because say I have a 100,000 target versus 100,000 user target, my approach will be totally different. I can acquire more number of users at lesser price, or have a higher revenue target achieved via smaller number of users. So this is a very important point in our understanding, that what is the North Star metrics that you are chasing. Also, what to understand that the registration of the site ad revenue. This is one of the learning that we had in this program, that since Google is coming up with cookieless policy and all, so unless we have the details of the users, we can never be sure about how they are going to interact with us in coming years. So the more registration we have, we will be in a better position to personalize the user journey and to also to protect our ad revenue. And one more thing was that the definition of perceived value can be defined for the users and the business. So the way we see value as the publishers, editors, or product managers, or marketers, or business may be totally different from how users are getting value from us. So thank you. This was a learning. Yeah. And thanks to Gregor, Ola, Begdum, VG, and our co-participants from different other organizations.
Thanks a lot, Shyamal, for your sharing your exciting results. It's very inspiring. I think there are a lot of things that's inspiring to other publishers as well. And there are a lot of things others can learn. And I definitely will guarantee that there will come more inspiring presentations from all the other publishers. Gregor, do you have some short comments before we will let next speaker up on stage?
Interesting. Yes, Ola, thank you. I'll make it very short. And obviously, I know the presentation, but now just listening to Shyamal and to the Indian Express again is one of the key learnings that has happened. And I think it was fantastic how Shyamal and the Indian Express have flagged it. It is the shift of understanding that the user groups are different. We are no longer talking about a user on Indian Express. We are talking in the user journey. We are talking in regards of the pricings and the offerings. We're segmenting user in loyal users. And the interesting and the key thing is that we have learned that basically we have no understanding of who are those loyal users. It was at the beginning of our Meta WAN-IFRA program that we have been asked, like what shall we do to make revenue? And one of our messages has always been in a repeated way, we don't know who are your loyal users. You have to test and experiment with. And I just wanted to flag what Indian Express has done now in those kind of charts. That is our problem. We have a hypothesis that we test. We do the testings. And sometimes the results are extravagant. And sometimes the results are like, well, other things have changed, but we have learned how does the audience that we attract as of now, how does it react, so that we can improve. And that's when I was looking at that revenue growth, and it is a zigzag move. And in February, it's coming down. It can have different kind of reasons, but the trend is going strongly on top. And this has not to do with one change. It has to do with many changes and with the change of the mindset. And when you are saying this is going to continue, it is going to continue because this change of mindset, it's not longer selling a product. It is interacting with the audience and making changes and understanding this unique audience of Indian Express that other publishers don't have. This exact audience to understand it better than other publishers, which is going to continue this growth of revenues. And I just wanted to flag it because it's so important for me to have this clear objective on those loyal users. And just for everybody, I always would like to continue. Yes, you start with the daily active users and the monthly active users, but the truth is you have to measure the returned frequency of users per month. So you have people that come once per month, twice per month, and those that come 16 times, 18 times, 20 times per month, and those are willing to pay and subscribe. That's from my side. And I just congrats to the Indian Express and to the speed, how you have picked up this test and learn mentality, and that you're getting closer to your audience every day. Brilliant.
Thank you, Gregor. We will hear more of this in the coming presentation. And next one is Utsah Kohli from the print. She's the head of strategy and execution, and we will listen to your story now. Welcome, Utsah.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right.
But we don't see your screen. We don't see your screen.
You can't see my
Could you?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Great. Thanks, Sola. Thanks, Gregor, and welcome to all the attendees of the webinar. A little about the print. So the print is India's fastest growing digital platform for news, reports, insightful opinions on politics, policy, government, governance, and strategic affairs. We are 4 years old, and we started our subscription journey, which was primarily a voluntary subscription post-COVID, when we reached out to our audiences and we said that, you believe in good journalism, support us. And our audiences came out and supported us full-fledgedly. The bootcamp came at an opportune moment for us because we were trying to figure out should we have a login? Should we have a paywall? Is there benefit to doing a premium offering only for subscribers? So there were a lot of questions in our mind, and I think that we have answered quite a few of those during the bootcamp, and I will take you through my presentation. So our website engagement during the period from 29th October till mid-Feb grew by 37.7%. And there were a few reasons for this. One of the critical reasons was that, we automated our wires. Till now, we were taking about 2 to 3 hours to actually get the wire stories out, and there was very low engagement. By just automating the wires, we were able to up the engagement on our website. The second thing that helped us was tracking stories. So we were actively tracking stories, headlines, seeing how we could twist the tweet which we were doing. And I think some of those experiments really helped increase the engagement on our website. We were not tracking brand lovers before the bootcamp. In fact, we didn't even know much about brand lovers, and we were using the general GA metrics of unique users and how many people were coming to our website. But once we started tracking brand lovers, we realized that in a very short span of time, we were able to increase our brand lovers by about 14.5%. And how this happened is because we had a strong reader focus. We believe that a reader is central to whatever we do. And at the end of the day, a little audience survey we did. We had over 1.3 lakh people respond on the website and on the social media, telling us what they liked about our website, what they wanted more. And once we started giving them products, giving them stories to suit their preferences after creating different audience personas, we saw a spike in the brand lovers. So I think audience personas was extremely critical to get to brand lovers. New readers who tried our content, we launched a number of different products. So we launched products around the trends, we launched products on strategic affairs, we launched something on security code. So we launched a number of different products to cater to the audience personas. And we also felt that this got new audiences to come and try out the print. This was an increase of 48.1% purely during the period of the bootcamp. So I think these experiments really helped us. Like I mentioned that, we were primarily voluntary subscribers. So we were growing at a phenomenal month-on-month rate. But we started offering a few things to our subscribers, whether it was curated newsletters, a chance to engage with our events, a chance to speak directly to the reporter from the ground. The reporter started sending monthly reports to our subscribers. So doing a few of these things and also putting an engagement strategy in place that focused on formation of daily habits early in the life of a subscriber. So I think this really helped in retaining the subscriber very early in the stage. And it was also key to reduce churn, because we figured out that anybody who engaged with our newsletters early, they stuck and they renewed their subscriptions month on month or annually. So this is something that was very critical to us. The big project for us during the bootcamp was launch of Project Spark, which was where we focused on the subscription module, a premium offering, and also working on data, which was reader knowledge, that, how could we use the subscription model to get more data? The challenges we faced were 80% of our readers wanted to consume news for free. So, when we did the audience survey, we figured out that while 20% said that, yes, we believe good news needs to be paid for, but 80% said that, if you don't give me free, if you put a paywall, we will leave. So that was a concern that, how do we keep the readers yet keep increasing our month-on-month ARPU? Second was the changing skill sets. Most of the people we were hiring on the editorial side were people who were primarily from the print background. And when they came to a digital setup, they needed to quickly upgrade their skill sets in terms of learning how to go on the ground, take the video with them, click photographs, speak on a podcast. So there were multiple skills. There are multiple skills needed to get on the digital platform. I think a lot of people have done this very successfully, and people who are successful in the digital platform are people who have quickly upgraded from the print mentality and moved on to a digital volume mentality, and also where they're looking at doing quality stories, but in multiple different formats. Voluntary contribution ended up being a double-edged sword for us. And I'll tell you why. We had 3 levels. So we had a monthly subscription, an annual subscription, and we also had a one-time payment where people could pay us anything over 500 rupees. So there were some people who gave us 500, some people who paid 10,000, some people who paid 1 lakh. This became a problem later on when we were doing segregation, that what kind of benefits should we offer to different subscribers. And we actually came down with 5 different offerings. And thanks to Ola and Greg, we realized that, you need to have a simpler offering. Otherwise, your reader is not going to stick. So, we did multiple iterations on, a premium, a bronze, a silver, a platinum. And then we said, you just have to keep it simple. And we kept going back to the blackboard to see, how do we make it simple? How do we make it easy for the user? We want him, but we also want to maintain our revenue. So this was something we really, we faced this challenge, and I think we kind of took this challenge head on. Finally, there was no budget-friendly plug and play available for us. We are a small organization. We are just 4 years old. So, we don't have the huge budgets legacy organizations may have. we didn't find anything that was available where we just kind of launched with the Indian platform. It kind of linked to Razorpay. So we had to work with, we had to work with organizations, customize things for us, do multiple iterations to see what works for us, what kind of works with the WordPress. So this is something that we faced as a critical challenge. The results. So where we are today is we have created the walkthrough wireframe. It's been converted to design, and we are currently in a stage to implement that. And hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we should be able to implement the final subscription design. We launched our premium offering. So we got an extremely senior editor on board who is in charge of the premium offering for the print. And we have launched something called the fine print. I will show you what it looks like in a bit. We created integrated plugins compatible with our website. So we had to go through multiple iterations for this. We had to figure out what works with our website. We were ready with everything in the beginning of Jan, and we said, okay, this is the wireframe, we are ready to launch. But then the technology didn't support us. There was churn with people, so I think we also had a lot of learning around the way, experimented a bit. And I think now in the next 2 weeks, we will be ready to finally launch our subscription site. We were able to segregate our voluntary contributors. So I think for a smooth transition to the new system, we were able to create buckets. And then we created a final date. So we would give all our current voluntary subscribers a free access till a certain date. And post that cutoff date, we would work on the buckets which we were looking for. This is the fine print which we have launched. It is the premium offering. We have about 3 to 5 premium stories on a daily basis, and which will keep increasing as we go forward. It is free for a limited time. Once we go behind a paywall, the fine print goes behind a paywall. So what were our key learnings? We figured out that articles which were published early in the day got a lot of traction. So if you will look at this map, all articles before noon, we got 50% more page views for articles that were published early. And if we only looked at the exclusive articles published by us, that was about 78%. So we got 78% more page views for exclusive articles that were published early. So then we also changed our news cycle and started pushing out more stories before noon because of the significant increase in page views. Audiences are willing to pay for quality journalism. I think we figured out, also thanks to Ola and Greg, we figured out that people are loyal to brands and not features. So as long as we were catering to a demand, catering to the need for unhyphenated journalism, unbiased news, people were happy to come to us. People were happy to pay for the journalism they were consuming. Simple subscriptions options work. So this is how our current subscription option looks like. We have just one slab, which is monthly 500, yearly 5,000, and we have a one-time payment for Indian and international subscribers. We figured out relevant themes on our newspapers helped to increase open rates by about 8%. Earlier, we were sending a newsletter called the Fine Print, and it went with the subject line, the Fine Print, the daily newsletter. The minute we changed that to interesting subject lines to reflect what was in the newsletter, whether it was like election season, defection season, death of a general, people started opening the newsletters more. And this increase in open rate also led to greater engagement on our website. So I think this was also critical to help us increase our engagement scores. Automation of wires helped increase engagement scores, like I said earlier, by just automating PTI, ANI, we were able to push out stories faster, and about 30% of stories got high traction. So what's next for us? Focus on exclusive content. So we have realized that our user base, our readers want premium offerings, they want deep dives, they want investigative reports, and they're willing to pay money for that. Second is reader. We need to get the reader in the middle of what we are doing. And I think a sharp reader focus is something which is very critical for the organization now. experimentation with different formats. So while we are digital and we've been doing a lot of podcasts, YouTube, videos, we are also looking at putting different elements in our stories, how we use cards, how we do infographics, what kind of graphics could work. So we are also experimenting with different formats, and that has also led to an increased traction in getting readers to our website. Fourthly, we have tweaked the editorial structure. So we are now looking at speed news. So we have a speed news desk, which is different, and that's constantly pushing out breaking news and important news that's very time bound. And secondly, we have somebody who's heading the premium desk, whose only focus is getting out exclusive premium articles, closer coordination between key stakeholders. So we are a small organization of around 100 people, but I think this regular meeting between a few of our key stakeholders and understanding what is the goal and what is the North Star and where are we moving as an organization has really helped us. And I think as an organization, we have figured out that going forward, we will be lighter on advertising and heavier on subscriptions and other forms of reader support. So this is something which is very critical for us. And finally, looking at key metrics to aid newsroom decisions. So earlier, when we only used to look at Google Analytics, we would look at 1 or 2 key metrics. But I think that has shifted to look at engagement. So we are now very actively looking at engagement scores, very actively looking at what does our reader want? Are we catering to what our reader wants? And in the new login platform, we will be able to get a lot more reader knowledge. And I think this is something that is critical to us, and this is something which we are going to work going forward. Thank you, and I'm happy to connect. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And thank you, Utsah. Thank you for your sharing your exciting results. Just to mention that the print was the only digital pure player among this cohort of publishers that were joining this program. A little bit curious, Gregor, you have a long experience of teaching and coaching this kind of publishers. What's the biggest difference in coaching a pure player like the print compared to one that has a strong legacy and long tradition of the print? Gregor, you're still muted.
I'm just doing the first time in my life a video conference. That's why I'm just missing out with the muting. I think the biggest advantage, biggest difference in my learning is basically you don't have legacy, and you're starting in the market completely new and fresh. And if you're coming from a legacy publishing house, your understanding from an editorial is basically you don't have to cater for engagement because the newspaper is going to be delivered every morning. You don't have to cater. You deliver a product, you write your stories, and they are going to be printed and they are going to be delivered, and and it's out. That's the product of a legacy print product. And it's the same with the EPUB. In regards of an online pure play, the game is different. You're chasing engagement. What you anticipate by somebody who is actively going to your newsstand and buying a newspaper, or it gets it delivered by a paper boy in the morning, that's where the engagement has already been done. In digital, you're fighting for the engagement every day. And that's a different kind of a mindset where an editor has done his job coming from 10, 20 days of the legacy that he has just to deliver text, rather about focusing not on the KPI of delivering my story, but delivering engagement, which is the amount of people reading my story and how long they read it. It's a different beast. It's no longer my KPIs. Am I in time with my article? But is this article relevant? And that's why I just wanted to flag one of the most important changes at what the print has been doing, even though they are not legacy, but they have come from a always reader-centric publication, but they understand it's a different focus of having breaking news or a speed desk, which has risen engagement because people on a website, they want to be informed about what is going on, and what is going on is time critical. But as being informed about what is going on because everybody is doing it. That is not the differentiator. The thing which attracts is being speedy, but the thing which makes people pay is having premium stories, or as Utsah has flagged, exclusive stories. And exclusive doesn't mean you're the only one publishing the topic, but you're giving it an exclusive angle. It is giving the perspective that your editors have on it, which is an editor from the Indian Times has a different angle, a personal perspective, like editor of the print or for Indian Express or ABP or whomever. And this exclusive thing, this is what people cherish. And to have a premium desk who is catering for this kind of value, that is absolutely key and unique. And you need to have this kind of a change. So making engagement the new KPI for editors, rather than delivering the story in time for being printed in time. I think that is massively key. And that's the road to a sustainable subscription business.
Great words to end with at this session, this presentation. Thank you, Utsah. Thank you, Gregor. And as I said before, we have some more inspiring stories to hear. And next on stage will be Arun Rahim. He's the head of business development from Manorama Online. So please welcome Arun.
Thank you, Ola. I hope I'm audible to everyone.
You are,
Okay.
and the slides are there.
Slides, thank you. Right, so I'm Arun. I'm from the Malayalam Manorama group and specifically work for Manorama Online for business development. Most of you will be knowing, but we are a legacy organization with 130 years plus behind us in terms of publishing news. The daily newspaper Malayalam Manorama is a prime product, and we have multiple other publications as well. But the topic of this discussion, of course, is about Manorama Online. So through the bootcamp and through the training from the bootcamp, we were looking to kind of build our subscription product as well for Manorama Online. And before I start, let me give a word of thanks to Meta, WAN-IFRA, and specifically our coaches Gregor and Ola for the wonderful job they've done. I think, I mean, apart from you can have a lot of information that you can get from a lot of the newsletters that we give. But I think what stood out in the bootcamp for us was the specific instructions that helped us make some real actual results for us. So I'll go through the presentation and you will see what some of those were. So moving ahead on the discussion, I think many of or rather Indian Express and the print focused on something called engagement, and something that initially itself stood out from the bootcamp was the importance of tracking certain metrics. And one of the metrics that we had to track right from the beginning of the project was media time. It's basically an aggregate of all the time all of your users spend on your content. And this is something that we tracked right from the beginning quite meticulously, because we wanted to make sure that we do this properly. So if you see over here, we had a growing trend in terms of the media time. And what I'd like to say here is that we had a large number of articles being published week on week, and we actually optimized the articles to a lower number. And in spite of that, we were able to have an increase in the media time. And how this was possible was, of course, there were articles or there were events that helped generate interest in news, but there were also certain tactics that we got from DNI that helped us achieve this. One, for example, in terms of our premium articles, was adding more context and creating headlines that come with more context. So these are some things that we tried out, and that definitely helped increase our media time. So overall, we had an increase in media time of about 15%. Secondly, if you look at a metric that we again took from DNI was your fans plus your loyals. Now there are certain definitions for these, how you categorize these segments, but honestly speaking, I did not see this, going up this much, and this increased by 20%, and this had an upward trend throughout. So if you look at the period of December last week to Jan first week, which coincides with New Year, you see a small dip, but then following that there was an increasing trend again, which we saw, and this is something that we see as a consequence or a corollary of the actions that were taken to improve content and improve engagement for content. So this is another metric that we saw an improvement in. And thirdly, the metric, this is directly related to our to an experiment that we conducted as part of the program in terms of registrations. Now, overall, our registration growth was by 28%. But if you look at this graph, which is which you can narrate a story around. November, we introduced a data wall for our premium articles, and when we introduced that, we had an initial spike. We had to take it down for certain reasons. We brought it back again, and we did some experiments around that. So more about that, I'll let you know in the big project part. But something that I want to say over here is that this whole number of registered users and number of and the engagement type, it is correlated. So that's very important to go by. Now coming on to the big project itself, what we wanted to achieve was increase in number of registrations. So I think I missed the part about telling how we progressed till here. So once we identified we wanted to go into a subscription model, we started working on premium content. And we thought we should have a freemium model where premium content would either be behind a data wall or a paywall, and that's how we started creating premium content. So the first goal there was to bring it behind a data wall, and that's the experiment that coincided with the bootcamp. So increasing registrations was one of the key objectives of that experiment, and in addition to that, we also started tracking each and every event that happened on a conversion funnel. From the point a person hit the data wall, the clicks that user did after the click, there are a couple more steps. Where did the user drop out? Did the user click the continue button? The next step. Each event was something that we tracked to understand where we are having dropouts. And finally, we also started tracking daily logged in users. So these are metrics that we never tracked before, and that started during the bootcamp. Just going back to the challenges and the solutions. So in terms of an organizational challenge, obviously we were looking at traffic as a key KRA for all the teams, and ad revenue, of course, was a direct objective for the marketing team. So one of the key constraints or one of the key issues raised by the teams was that will bringing something like this in affect traffic? Will it affect ad revenues? Now, at least from where I am right now, because we are in terms of product lifecycle, we are behind the print and the Indian Express because we haven't launched the paywall yet. I think that if it is modeled correctly and if you face it correctly, it's not going to be as big a problem, because you just cannot put something like a paywall immediately onto your site. There are certain preparatory steps that you need to take for it, and you need to think on what your users really want, and fix your conversion funnels, fix your steps for conversion and all that before you actually embark on that. So, but at the end of the day, with the data wall right now, I can say that it hasn't affected our traffic till now. And in terms of technology, the first thought was, should we actually do this whole thing of showing a paywall or showing a data wall in-house, access control, should we take it in-house? But the more we thought about it, it was something that, we rather not put our hands in and use a market solution for that. So that was a challenge that we had initially, but we addressed it with a market solution. Now, I'm not being an evangelist for any of the sponsors here, but there are many other players out there. But obviously, it's better to go for a third party over here, is what we felt like. And in terms of know-how, premium articles, what should be premium, was a question that we had, and we kind of got really good insights into what we can make into premium content from the sessions. So I mean, Greg, if I can quote Greg here, premium is not a function of exclusive topics, that he kept saying throughout. And luckily, I think the editorial team also started understanding that, and they started coming up with articles that were not exclusive by any means, but they had context and they had some value added to them that we could call premium. So that was a challenge, and I think more or less we were able to address that challenge through the bootcamp. Now, coming on to the results of the big project itself, we had, as I said before, we had an increase in overall registered users by 28%. If you look at the number of registrations over the previous period, it was 150%. And if you look at the increase in daily logged in users, it doubled. It increased by 100%. Now, let's just look at how we did our experience, because the big project for us was not just a single experiment, but it was a bunch of experiments, right? So one of the experiments we did was showing the data wall to a particular segment of users. Now, we started off with that, in fact, and we found out that, okay, I'll come to what we found out from that later, because it actually, it's similar to what we did in terms of categories. But what really made an impact was the UI of the data wall. The moment we changed the data wall, so when we had the data wall first, it was the text there was not very simple. The color of the same was, I think, in a red, the register button. We changed the color, we changed the text, we made it simple. We changed the CTA from create an account to register now, which is more simple. We added Malayalam to it because we are a Malayalam language site. And with that experiment, if you recall my earlier slide, we had a second spike on that, and that second spike is clearly due to change in the data wall UI. So the key learning from there is that, I mean, like Utsah was saying, simpler the better. Your users are very simple beings. They don't want to go through a complex maze or anything, but they just want to have a very simple registration process. And even right from the beginning, if you have a clear communication, you're reading with that, that's more than enough. Coming to the other two experiments on the segment and the categories. So what we really understood here is that, you know, more than a segment or more than the categories that you put under a data wall, it's clearly the articles per se that work in terms of getting you registrations. Because you have an article tagged as premium, and you don't really put it out there for users to see. And you don't really put an effort in terms of defining the headline properly, it won't work. So if you work well with your articles, it's definitely going to trigger registrations. A recent example that we had is, so I keep noting which articles trigger most registrations, and a recent example showed us that an article on Shane Warne's death, of course, it's an article, it's something that was reported to everyone, but there was an article that talked about the health aspects of over dieting and of not consuming food and all that. And that article triggered the most registrations for us that day, in spite of it being a sports article. So that's why I said that it's not sports, or it's not sometimes news, or it's not sometimes a business, but the context and the relevance to a particular scenario that mostly works in terms of conversions. And coming to the other experiments that we want to initiate, we further want to try experiments on our registration walls, and once we start off the paywall, we want to try experiments on that, because this whole process is an iterative process. I mean, you keep learning, you keep testing, and you keep finding out that some things work, some things don't work. We also want to try out some experiments in terms of metering some of the articles and seeing whether the data wall works there. We will continue experiments on content by adding more context, adding more relevant bylines with which people get engaged more. We also tried an experiment on the newsletter. We changed a bit of the layout, and that worked good for us. In fact, I think the open rates was something around 9%. It's like around 11-12% right now, which is good. We want to increase that further. We want to do a podcast, because some of our podcasts we see that from the site itself are having good traction. We want to try it out on other platforms. And in terms of formats for premium content as well, we want to try out formats other than just text. We also may be wanting to try it out on something like infographics, or just plain infographics, or even video content. Right. So overall, I think it was a fruitful session for us, where we got to learn a lot. Me and us from the business team, as well as our folks from the content team. I think it was overall a great learning experience for us. So thank you once again. Thank you all for being part of it also.
Thanks a lot, Arun. It was like with everybody, me coming from the West and Ola, we've been just amazing how fast all participants of the Meta WAN-IFRA accelerator, how fast you responded and how fast you implemented some of the ideas that we have generated, and how fast you have seen success. And I'm still amazed about the amount of registrations. Two highlights for everybody looking here. What Arun and what we have been heard from the Indian Express, one of the key reasons why we have now jumped into reader revenue and paid subscription is that reader revenue and paid subscription gives you reasons for your readers to open an account and to log in and to collect data. Having this kind of data is going to make you resilient for the time when Google is going to delete the cookie, because you have data, and because there is not going to be some intermediate in the between to keep up your advertising revenues high, and the advertising revenues are high because you can target people. Reader revenue is the most important strategic activity to get user data, get their consent, and allow them to stay in the targeting business for your ad revenues. And that's what has been a predominant thing, and which is key to every publisher listening to it. Secondly, what Arun has just said, and because we had those kind of questions, when we're talking about engaged time, we're talking about measuring how many users are reading the article for which time. You need to have the data for it. But this is the most important KPI to understand whether the amount of work that editors put into an article is actually valuable from the business side. The only thing that you can make editors responsible for is creating an article of engaged time. If you do it, then they understand who are the people who return most, and that's when they focus, when they can focus their activities on understanding their needs, their topics, and most important, what Arun has said, it is not the exclusivity of the topic, it's the exclusive know-how of each single editor. When you bring this to an article, this is going to be game-changing, and being ready to have a premium article that you flag accordingly. We're running to the next, Ola, and maybe you just take over from this.
Sure, thanks. We have two more inspiring speakers on this program. Next up is Dipanjan Dutta, Head of Business Operations at Ananda Bazar. Welcome, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Ola. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yep, both.
Great, thank you. So quick thing, ABP is celebrating its 100th year this month. It's that legacy, as well as, if I may put out that our news sites are even from the pre-Google era. When the Google was not even there, we had our sites, both Anand Bazaar that we're talking today about, as well as the Telegraph. However, on that overlay, if we put it in that, even last year, we were thinking of warming ourselves to the journey of subscription. And luckily, that's when the subscription bootcamp came in. And thanks to Ola and Gregor, we could have made an accelerated a journey towards it. So thank you, Ola and Gregor, before I start on this one. So the idea was very clear, that from moving from the volume metrics, how do we move to the content quality metrics as the journey, so that we can finally reach to the reader revenue at the end point. And towards that, how do we again do the content quality metrics is to just focusing on the engagement in the form of time on page and page per session. So what we looked at is, we looked at three things to that, and we have broken up the whole experiments into three pieces. One is the story level experiments that we have done. Some of the experiments are site-wide experiments. And of course, these are not experiments, but the cultural alignment within the organization as to how we can move the needle and take the ship forward. So getting into the details of story level experiments, what have we done? Probably two pieces, that we have taken up. One is the modification of the print headlines, where we were seeing challenges. And the second is the inclusion of the subline of the straps in the articles. So let me again take you through to the details of this a bit more. So if you look at the first pair is where the left-hand side is a pure news from the print paper, right? It has a very crisp headline, maximum 5 words. It gives a bit of mystery, which is helpful in a print environment. If you look at, we have completely changed that headline, and when we went into the website form. Similarly, there's an example, the other example to that. So the headline changes really helped us to ensure that, number one, the stories are picked up, be it from the distribution sources or from the home pages and the section pages, and then they are read through when in the article page. The second part is, of course, the subline or the straps. And we have done it in so to say, on a waterfall model. We started with a subline of maximum 140 characters. So that is when we started. Then we went on to put on a larger one, so with a 250 characters, up to 250 characters, where we talk about possibly a very short summary of what we're talking about. And then on the more youthy kind of stories, be it the trending stories, be it the sports stories, we have started using bullets in terms of the straps. And these have kind of really worked for us. But, in these 4 months, we haven't done a lot, and, we want to do many others. So what we want to do going ahead is to experiment with a number of other tweaks that we can do, or weapons, we may say, that we can do in the article page, be it at introduction of the summary, creating dynamic infographics, highlighting quotes, as well as, creating polls around the articles and taking audience opinions. Moving to the next one, the site-wide experiments, and what have we done over there? Again, broadly two pieces, that we have been focusing on. One is the production of premium content. The second is deepening our multimedia content. premium content. We spoke a lot about the premium content, and I think that actually helps me in putting it back properly as to premium content. For us is also not something that we would like to do as the first one or the only one. It's about the context that we build on a specific piece of maybe incident, maybe something that has just gone on. And these are usually well researched, longer for the more evolved readers to get in. And it kind of could be even a first person narrative, could be a researched opinion piece. That is how we kind of look at these this premium content. And what we're doing now is 3 to 4 such premium content every week. So of course, that is just the beginning of the journey, and we really want to put this out there in much faster frequency, higher frequency, to ensure that we have a great bank of premium content, towards a journey towards premiumization and subscription. So what kind of outcome have we seen in these 4 months? It's not bad actually. If we look at the engagement scores between 40 to 60 for the premium articles, that has really gone up by about 2.5 times, so 250% growth. Whereas even for a 20 to 40, it's about 80% growth that we have got. So it's a brilliant response that we have seen from the audience. It's not that we were not doing premium articles before, but it is to put it into a skeleton of structure and build it in, measure and continue to focus on it, which actually is the difference. Now actually my audience do not only they do look forward to it. It's not an accident to bring in a premium content in anandabazar.com today. Coming to the multimedia content, and this is something of a new skill that we are building to complement the textual content, so to say. And there are 2 kind of broad-based verticals that we have taken up. One is to do a curated videos on news, politics, people, places, which could be, if you look at it, we have taken something of an Ukrainian, the conflict, or the Shyamal death, or it could be a local piece. It could be, there's something which is going on this side of the world with a student leader's death, or even a somebody who is a winner by her own right. That is that's the example on the left that I have out here. So these are the kind of human stories which are better told on a multimedia format, are brought in. The other piece to this is to create content series. And currently, we are continuing with 2 of such series, 2 of such IPs, if I may call. One is on the right is called Ojana Kotha, which is basically unknown story, if I may put it this way. So this is again handled by our editor, Mr. Anindo Jana. And this is basically an interview series with folks and celebrities from different walks of life. There's a minister, the mayor of Calcutta, the actors come in, the rock star of this part of the world, who's actually literally a rock star in Rupam Islam. Those are the guys, who he actually would talk to, chat about, and it is nothing formal about it, the way it is done. So that's a great content that is built week after week by our editor. The other on the left that you see it's called Loke Ki Bolbe. That what would people say? It's all about the so-called taboos of this society. How do we, and whom we have taken is Anutama Banerjee. She's a clinical psychologist, and she talks about this on a weekly show out here. And she would take up one story a week. And what we do best in both the cases is we put this out before that this is whom we are interacting with, or this is what is being discussed upon, and we ask for audience questions before and during the show, and all those questions are being answered during the show, both Ojana Kotha as well as Loke Ki Bolbe. So this actually gives a very strong audience interaction during this content creation. Right? So there are a few other things that we really want to do, in terms of the site-wide content and experiments. One is, of course, the redesigning of the homepage. We want to look at redesigning the homepage itself for improved recirculation, improved discovery of stories, and so that we have more reads per session, so to say, right? And that's something we have started very, very recently, is a topical section, which gets curated on the nav bar. So for example, currently it's the Ukraine war, which is on my nav bar, which has got in. So tomorrow, hopefully it is tomorrow, it can, the war would end, and then, we don't need that so over there, but it could be something else, which can come on to this, this nav bar. So it's the topical section curation is very, very important, and we see a great traction to that. And what we really need to do is to curate all kind of stories related to a certain incident, certain development which is happening. And it is much better than a live kind of news feedback. It gives a flavor of a detailing, that you continue to build on a single space. That's a fantastic response that we have got, and we want to build on this one. Third one, and to me, it's the most critical one. What's the cultural shift? Till date, I'd say, all of us across business, editorial, we're talking about reach, in terms of page view, in terms of user. What are we talking about now? It's the reach plus engagement. That's very critical to have engagement into any of our discussions, that you are doing. And then how did we go about doing that? The first thing is, of course, to have the editorial leadership in alignment to this whole concept. That it is not only the page view that is required, but it's also the engagement score that is important. And once the leadership is aligned, we drilled it down to the length and breadth of the editorial team, and which was extremely critical for individual responsibility and accountability to drive it. What we have also done is to create this whole measurement of the engagement score. Unless you see it, unless you measure it, you don't see it, and unless you see it, you don't know which way it's going, right? So the measurement has been absolutely important that, we have put it in. And finally, based on that, we keep on getting into an analysis, and more importantly, debate. It is important to have this healthy culture of debate, within the editorial, business, audience development, and product teams as to which one should work, which experiment should we take it up. If this is not working, can we tweak this and again redo this experiment? I think that is one that I think is the best outcome of this, engagement that we are going through today. So this is a small example, of the engagement. How do we measure it? We have something called a daily MIS, and while we had all these things before, if you look at this part, this just talks about the top 5 engagement stories, or top 5 engaged stories, bottom 5 engaged stories, their engagement stories put in along with the page view. So it is not only the reach, but the engagement as well that comes out, and it reaches everybody's desk every morning. And then we accumulate that to a weekly engagement score. And we take this up with our weekly discussion forums that we have, with the editorial, product, and audience development to see which one worked. It is also very important for us to understand which one worked and why, because that is where the most of the learning is. Then can we replicate that to something else? I think that is where we have been trying to get along with this one. If we put on our outcomes to this, broadly 3 ones, the change that we have seen during within the user groups, the change in the average time spent, and thirdly, the overall engagement score. And let me just quickly take you through this. So of course, as defined, and thank you for the definition, now we are very clear. We have fan, heavy user, casual user. And what we see is a great starting point, I would say, which is a 15% growth in the fan base that we have, and a 60% growth in the heavy users that we have. Of course, that has been nibbled away from the casual to that, so it's got upgraded. But thankfully, now we know how to look at it, and we see a great story to start with, which really motivates all of us out here, including the editorial, the audience development team, and the product team. The second is the average time spent. So again, I have done it through the cohorts, and if we look at the fan cohort, actually it has gone up by about 28%, the time spent per session. If you look at the heavy user, it's about 22% is the growth that has come in. But the biggest thing for me is even for the casual, it has gone up by 18%. So it's all pervasive. It's not on the select score. It's really a all pervasive one, and which will, I'm sure, going to give us a wider base to this pyramid going forward. Thirdly, the engagement score, and that is how it looks like. So of course, the 0 to 20 has come down because it has been slid on the top of on the way. So of that, the 20 to 40 has gone up by an 80%, the 40 to 60 and the 60 to 100 by 100%. Now, let me qualify this. The base for the 40 to 60 and the 60 to 100 was definitely small. And that is why, we needed to be part of the bootcamp to start with, right? So of course it shows 100%, but it's an incremental jump, which is absolutely motivating for us. But, it's a long way to go before we can really say that, it's a significantly, we have a large base to talk about. So key challenges, plethora, we have just, got few of them all out here. First, aligning business. First is business and then the edit to focus on engagement. It was hard on us to even talk about engagement beyond the page view and the unique visitors, right? That was the first thing that we had to do for ourselves, and then get along edit onto the board. Secondly, the new skill sets, the multimedia content, the premium content making, it's a different ballgame, and as we discussed earlier, we were all aligned for the speed desk. How do you create a separate whole structure to focus on premium content? That's a change that we need to build in. The multimedia is from the scratch, from the zero base, and that needs to be built in, and that is what we are kind of doing. And we are just started, I must say. Third is very important for us, the nimbleness in the organization. Product, edit, audience development. All we should be saying, yes, let's test and learn. That whole idea of doing it. And once we say, let's do it, can we do this in the next 48 hours? Can we do it in the next 72 hours? That was important. We shouldn't be, waiting until the flavor is gone and, we move to something else. So I think that is something that we learned a lot, and we have been working to even improve upon this one. And the final, of course, we looked at now that we definitely need new investments which are required. For example, an A/B testing tool, we haven't had that. So that is something, an investment that is coming. And of course, the more we progress, the better we want to look at things, we might need to do a bit more investment in this whole piece. So learning, of course, the changes in the air. We can now talk about, we all are talking about.
We are running a little bit later time. So
sure.
Could you please wrap it up and then we go on to the next one?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. Thank you. So we all now know that the engagement is the way forward to that. Learning to be nimble. That's the big learning that we are all going through. And finally, the subscription journey is a reality. As I said, we have been waiting and warming up for a long time, but now it's out there. So thank you so much, Ola and Greg, to push us through this. And I believe, we are seeing the results to that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dipanjan. Thanks. Wow, what a journey and what an inspiring presentation. And now we have one more for this session, least but not last. Welcome, Riya Chakraborty, Manager and Data User Engagement from the printers Mysore. And they have participated with their brand Deccan Herald. Welcome, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Ola. Thank you so much. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes.
You're audible.
Firstly, I would like to greet each and everyone who is present over here and is attending this session. Just to talk about the printers Mysore, the legacy takes us back to the year 1948. And Deccan Herald being our English daily, we also have a regional daily, Prajavani. Apart from that, also we have two other brands, Sudha and Mayura, as our leading Kannada magazines. So even though this bootcamp session there was a lot of learning involved in this entire session, we have got an enormous amount of knowledge. So I'll just move on and take you forward to the learnings that we have got from the session. During this journey, from which started in the month of November 2021 to Jan 2022, we gained considerable knowledge in various sections, among which we had few focus areas. To start with, first being the enhancement of user engagement, second being the development of loyal users, and also acquiring user signups or the user data. I would like to take you through how we have progressed in each and every focus areas that we started with the start of the bootcamp session. The development and engagement of website. From the last 3 months, from November to January, our website monthly active users has gradually increased by around 10%. Our website sessions has also seen an increase by 20% within the span of these 3 months. Not only the active users and the sessions, but our average session duration, our users, each and every metrics in the GA data dashboard, every metric has seen a gradual growth with the moving from November to January, and the activities that we have taken forward, that we are trying to continue, and we are wanting to achieve more and more increase in the numbers. Starting from the development of loyal users. So we did an analysis of the percentage of brand lovers and loyal readers for each category and articles. We tried understanding how our brand lovers and our loyal readers are interacting with different categories that is present in our website. Based on the analysis, the editorial team started working on the high engaging categories. Also, after doing the work on every category which we felt is attracting the brand lovers in a higher percentage, our brand lovers increased by 1% each month. The loyal readers increased by 36% for a period of 3 months. Overall, we have seen an increase of 36%. The average time spent by brand lovers was 6 minutes, which was something which was very, very encouraging for us, because we have seen 6 minutes as an average time spent for the articles, especially coming that from the brand lovers is very significant for us, that something that we gained. Moving on, the major activities that we have undertaken for gaining these kind of results. First is the analysis of engagement score. We have been doing constant analysis of engagement score and understanding each and every percentage of articles which is yielding a higher engagement score to us, and also giving us a breakdown on why or how, what is the content in that article, and how those kind of articles are giving us a higher engagement score. Next, what we did is we implemented in-text links inside our articles. Thereby, our overall website recirculation has seen an increase by 5%. So we have implemented around 2 in-text links on an average in most of the articles, where we have tried increasing the recirculation inside the website. The major project for us was the newsletter project, which we started. So we designed curated newsletters for our readers from different segments to engage them and to gain user signups. We designed 7 different topics of newsletters, out of which we are live with 2 topics to start with. First being the DH political theater, where since the elections were coming up, we started with the political theater, giving people an outlook of the political scenario that is going on. Next is the top news of the day, where we are giving the users a breakdown of whichever news is the top news for that particular day. The other topics were the DH video on demand, the best of DH opinion, tune into DH radio, the DH sports letter, and also the DH on weekends. So we designed an overall user journey where user would be able to discover our newsletter. So we planned on creating a button of newsletter in the menu for users to discover the newsletter landing page. We also planned on creating opt-in widget in different article pages so that user can sign up directly from that opt-in widget to a particular set of newsletter. Otherwise, they can even click anywhere and they'll be taken to the newsletter landing page that will have options for the user to go through each and every topic, and they can sign up for the specific topic which they are interested in. Otherwise, they can even opt for signing up for all the newsletters at once. So the challenges that we faced while coming up with this project was the creation of a data visualized newsletter, with the help of an effective tool to generate visually appealing charts, infographics, maps, and dynamic graphics for gaining a higher engagement. It was indeed a time-consuming process, and we did a lot of brainstorming to understand which is the tool that is best suited for taking this journey forward. So the Political Theatre newsletter, we have overall done 5 campaigns for the Political Theatre newsletter with a substantial amount of users, and we received an open rate of around 27.28%. We are planning to experiment with the subject line, as Gregor and Ola have assisted and supported us. So first thing is we are planning to understand different subject lines and the performance of different subject lines and analyze the result on the same. Also, currently we are sending the newsletters on Saturday, and we are planning to analyze the results for different days of the week also and see how the open rate changes or how the open rate works for us. So the major hypothesis for us was the newsletter project will help us in increasing subscriptions and getting access to the first party data, thereby adding more users and readers to our brand loyalty base. Also, with the newsletter program, we intend to increase the user engagement and create touch points for readers to land on to our website in a very easy and hassle-free manner. Even though there has been a lot of key learning from the overall program, but just to mention a few, first being the growth team, the formation of the in-house growth team, and that team has helped us in identifying the challenges and also coming up with effective solutions each and every time. The engagement analysis, where we have started evaluating engagement score of articles and categorizing it as per the brand lovers and the loyal readers, and understanding the way which articles and which categories are performing good for us. Next is the understanding of reader preference. With different type of newsletters, we get to understand our readers' news consumption pattern, the preferred category of news that they are looking at, and also the percentage of returning visitors. We are doing an analysis with the newsletter of the reader performance, especially of the returning visitors that is coming back to our website. So moving on in Outlook, moving forward, what we want to do is we want to go and do a complete newsletter marketing program with the help of social media marketing for promoting the newsletter to our readers. Also, we have an already present base with us, that is of our mobile app users. So we want to go ahead and do automated and scheduled notifications to the already present app users for the newsletter signups. Also, we have planned an in-detail plan of taking our newsletter marketing forward and playing around with different set of audiences. Also, a lookalike audience of the current user database, the reader database that we have. We want to make a lookalike of a similar kind of audience and promote the newsletter. We want to also experiment with different interest-specific audience and understand which newsletter is being interested with which kind of audience. Also, we want to go ahead and plan different campaigns with different ad copies and understand how the audience is perceiving the newsletters and how they are interacting with our each and every category of newsletter. So this is what we want to do moving forward. So thank you everyone for your time and engagement. And I would like to thank WAN-IFRA and Meta, and also our mentors, Gregor and Ola. And also obviously to mention Vicky as well for all the coordinations that she has been doing so far.
Thank you very much, Riya and Deccan Herald, for sharing your learnings. And just to make clear for everybody listening to it, when we're talking about newsletter, we're talking about mini newspapers that we publish every day for one reason: to introduce our product and content offerings to people and make them more loyal, to ultimately push them to our websites where there's the full brand offering. From Ola and myself, it has been a fascinating journey doing that program. When we entered the Indian market, we understood that it is very much reach-oriented, very much traffic-oriented. And in my dreams, I couldn't have imagined this fast often change of Indian publishers. And what I'm promising to you is, first, this program is going to be part of a big avalanche going down and changing the news industry in India. by showcasing that in a very short period of time, and yes, it's a tough one, but in a very short period of time of starting to switch a business model into a premium quality business model, which is much more sustainable. Secondly, with the focus on registration, giving a strong basis for publishers that they can survive the death of the cookie, which is going to come in a much better way. But thirdly, one of the things which I really appreciate and would like to flag to, we are talking about a new segment of users willing to pay for quality. And the path and the time needed to create quality, that's an internal stuff. It is internal change of mindsets, and which is taking lots of time. But those who start first will reap the largest harvest. This is what we can see around the globe, that those who start to change their workflow and their culture and the strategy to quality, they will reap a much larger chunk of that audience that is willing to pay than those who come later. So that's a thing I just wanted to flag and pass on to you. And you have done such an amazing job. And Ola and myself, we know what we're talking about. What you have achieved in those 3 months is outstanding. And a signal to everybody who would like to touch base with you and learn from you. Thank you so much.
And thank you all who have listened. I encourage you to take contact with these publishers and learn more from their amazing journeys. And good luck in the future and steps you have onwards. Because you're not finished yet. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.